machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live, thanks to our sponsors, Everard's, Pucker Pies, Hologram, Take Me, Newbie & Co, and the Fox's Arms. For exclusive extra shows, behind the scenes, competitions and podcasts, subscribe to Leicester Fan TV today on Patreon.
Yes, so the rumours are now true. You know, we've all been expecting it for a long time that Ruud van Nistelrooy would get sacked. And it is confirmed that the club have officially announced on X, or Twitter, as most of us know it, that he has gone. He has been sacked, but we're just getting it up to confirm what the exact wording is. But they have said Leicester City Football Club and Ruud van Nistelrooy have mutually agreed that Ruud's contract with the first team manager will terminate with immediate effect. Guess we're going to start with comment your views on that. I mean, we all kind of thought it was going to happen. I don't think it's much of a shock to anyone. I think it's just a surprise that it took as long as it did. I know people were saying around the 1st of July is when we would action sacking him. But it's come across now. We have sacked him. I mean, who do you think is going to replace him? I've heard a lot of rumours about Sean Dyche coming in. I think Danny Rowell from Sheffield Wednesday as well coming in. I mean, what do you guys think about? Let me know in the comments below. What do you think to this? Bazza saying, good, get gone. I mean, yeah, I think it's about time we all knew that he probably should have gone sooner than he did in the Premier League season. I think we kind of accepted that he was just going to go either way, or something to do with, you know, our financial situation. We couldn't sack him after we brought him in. But he is gone. He won't be the manager for the Championship season. And to me, I think that's the right move. I think, personally, I know that people might say it's a fresh start in a new league, but I think he's kind of tarnished some of the reputation with some of the players as well. So we've heard a lot of rumours and quite true possibilities that Winks and Vestergaard have fallen out with Ruud at his time here. And those the only two, you know, like confirmed players really, due to obviously circumstances, you know, such as I think Vestergaard's something to do bringing his dog to the training ground, and also the fact that him and Winks live down in London. So, you know, I don't think we really could have gone into the Championship season, especially if those two players are going to be, you know, two main key players again for us next year. So let's get a few more comments into Evil. You know, tell me who you think you want to come in as manager. I'm going to get your comments in. James is saying, get Dyche in. I agree with James. I think Dyche is probably the best option for us. I think he'll be able to settle down this team and play to their strengths, whether that's passing football, you know, however we want to play. I think someone like Dyche just needs to settle the team down, and, you know, he needs to take control. I think the last few managers we've had, maybe bar Enzo, has kind of come in and said, I think the same for Ruud, that like I think the players have had a bit too much power over the managers, and I think they kind of just let it happen, which I think was the same with Ruud. I think he was kind of brought in to just be a bit of a yes man and just, you know, pretty much say, I think Rudkin probably brought him in to say, listen, the players want to play a certain way, don't change it, or don't want you to change it. You're just here to, you know, manage them. So let's bring up some others. Simon saying Danny Rowell for me, Sheffield Wednesday manager. Got a lot to prove. I know he's done quite a decent amount as an assistant coach, but, you know, he's not lit the world up at Sheffield Wednesday. So I can see the case for either way. It depends on, I guess, the style of football a little bit more. I think Dyche offers you a bit more stability because you kind of know what he's got, what he knows how to manage around that area of the table, you know, winning the Championship. And then again, you've also got to plan for, if we get promoted next year, who's going to be able to keep us up. I think the lack of planning last season, obviously with Enzo going, it cost us, bringing in Cooper for 10 games and people weren't happy, and then replacing him with Ruud, who was worse than Cooper. It cost us last year, you know, having no real clear plan, and you could see we gave up maybe 10, 15 games before we did actually, go down. So Danny Roll, again, bring your comments in, who you want to bring in. I know that he's up there as one of the contenders. Ben saying about time, get Daishi in. Yeah, again, I think a lot of people are probably more leaning towards Daishi. How many did he lose in the end? Forgot. Well, too many. He lost too many in a row that should have made him go, let alone of how many he lost in the end. I think it was about a 7, 8, 9 game loss streak, which in most teams and most managers and most circumstances, that would have been sacked. We sacked Cooper for quite a lot less than that, but we've kept Ruud around that. It's cost us, I assume it's something to do with finances. I mean, we might know in the future, we might never know why we kept him for this long. I can only imagine it's to do with finances because, it's took, over a month since the season's ended to finally confirm, that he's gone. So, Dyche won 2 in 17 last season. I don't actually know where Dyche managed. Was he still part of? I don't know where he was at. I'm going to look that up real quick. Was he a manager last year? I thought he's had a season off. I know that he went Everton, but I don't think that was last year, was it? It says he was at Everton until 2025. I mean, if you can confirm, I don't know if he was still managing. I don't know if he was still managing Everton towards the start of this year. I think he was, wasn't he? But maybe, yeah, did he get sacked? Because, okay, well, I think there's some comments. Obviously, Everton managed to keep up with Moisey. So 2 in 17 last season. I mean, yeah, if you can confirm that, I assume that probably sounds about right because they had a pretty bad start as well, and I assume that's why he went. Steve saying, can't believe he's finally gone, was worried he was going to end up staying. I think there was a lot of people's concerns at this point. We were all kind of, I think, waiting till the 1st of July because, again, that was the rumoured date of, the new financial season starting and when we could officially sack Ruud if we wanted to. But we've done it now on the 27th, random day. So it does make you think. It's probably something to do with finances. I mean, none of us are really going to know unless we're football experts, but none of us are, so none of us know the ins and outs. I think there was a case for him staying. I think there was an argument for him. Staying in the Championship. I think some people are saying it's taken this long, and that if you bring a new manager in, does he have time to bring in the players he wants, to get rid of the players? Does he have time to build the team that he wants? Who knows? I mean, obviously, you'd like to think that at this moment in time, we've sacked Ruud van Nistelrooy and we do have a manager lined up. I mean, I'll keep my eyes peeled on the official page because you never know, it might be a very quick turnaround. They might know who's the next manager, but I assume they'll give this a little bit of breathing space. But there you go, Steve. He's not staying. I'm glad he's not. I think it would have been a massive mistake. Big Hand. I mean, I'd take him. I don't think he'd drop down to this level after winning the European Cup. I think he's probably a bit better than us, to be honest with you. But I'd take him. Rolled did nothing. I agree. Assistant manager, I think he's had a decent career, but he's not really done much at Sheffield Wednesday. God, I'm going to get this confused. Get Dyche in. Yeah, I think a lot of people are saying Dyche. Will the board follow? No, because it's a self-running entity at the moment. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff about the KP that's going on. So the board is pretty much self-running the club. I don't think Top has that much say in what's going on at the moment, especially with the stuff that's happening with the KP. So I think you'll find that it's Whelan and it's Rudkin to run the show again for the Championship. And that's probably the case until the King Power decides to sell, if they ever do sell Leicester. They're probably the people that will be in charge, just because it's a very self-running, system at the moment. Whether it's a good or not, it's still self-running. Dyche or Wilder? Yeah, I mean Wilder in contention as well, isn't he? Just been let go from Sheffield United, so I think he'd do an okay job. I know that Sheffield United have floated around the Championship for a few seasons now, so and obviously that they've gone up and down, so obviously decided to sack him. So I wouldn't hate him, but I think Dyche is probably on a better level than that, because I think he's done it a bit more. I think he's been a bit more consistent in the teams. Dyche should probably give us the best chance of staying up if he actually got us up. No tippy-tappy philosophy, does what it takes to win. I think yes and no. There's a lot of interviews of him saying that he likes to play to the players' strengths, and that's what he did at Burnley. You know, a lot of people say that their football's boring, but that was the style that suited them the best. And I'd like to think that most managers in today's day and age can just assess the situation and assess teams that we're playing, because it's not always about how we can play. Because in the Championship, it should work, you know, like it did with Enzo, playing passing football, it should work. In the Premier League, it's proven it doesn't work. You know, even against the lower level teams, we're getting slaughtered 2-3, 4-0. So I'd like to think he'd come in and just play football to the best ability of the players, and not because we want to play a philosophy and all this and all that. You know, it's not overcomplicated. It's, you've got two teams, be the better one, score the goal. It doesn't matter if you have less possession or if you play slightly worse football. If you can get the goal and win, that's all that matters. You know, next season if we go up, well, 2 seasons if we go up. Blue saying wish he stayed. I don't know if you're referring to Ruud. I think you are. I mean, tell us why, Blues. Give us a comment down below, and we're more than happy to hear that. Because again, I'm open to all opinions. Don't know who the next manager is yet. I'm not gonna knock anyone. I wouldn't have knocked Ruud if we had him. If we started him, I think it would have been a bit more of a concern, considering his obviously history at the moment. You know, it's got going down with some pretty bad record from the Premier League. But Bill saying about time. I'm just going through these in order. Bazza say Championship totally different to the Premiership. Need a guy to be tough and in charge, not from upstairs. Yeah, I agree. I think there's been way too much player power going on at the club. Like I said earlier, I think even under Ruud, Cooper. I mean, Cooper was, you know, I think he got sacked because of the players. And I think it showed. You know, they're off. Well, I think out in Copenhagen, weren't they, the next night? Or I think the night before he got sacked. They probably already knew he was sacked, but the night before we knew, it was officially announced. They were off in Copenhagen with "We Miss You" Enzo boards, which is a bit pathetic, to be honest with you, from the players. But it shows. I'm not really sure that the players are entirely here for, you know, the right reasons. A lot of them, I think, here for the wages, and I think some of them need to look at themselves for next season. Even though they'll be good enough for the Championship, I think we could struggle. I think we've got a team that is worse than when we went down 2 seasons ago now. Obviously, we're not really looking like we're in a situation to build on that. So, what else can you say about that? It's a different league. It's way tougher. I think you do need someone to take the reins a little bit of Leicester, and God knows. I hope it's just someone that knows what to do. Which is why I do have a little bit of concerns about Danny Roll. I wouldn't knock him, but I think at this moment in time there is better options for us. At least for the Championship, you know. Again, we're not on a plan where we can build for the next 4 to 5 to 6 years, because there's no such thing as that when we're in our situation. It's get up and stay up. It's a 2-year plan. That's all it is. That's all we need to work on. There's no 5-year plan now. It's, you know, if we can stay up and rebuild, and if we want to play this possession-based football, that's fine. But it's not going to be next season. It shouldn't be the season after. It should just be, let's get back to basics a little bit and stop being a yo-yo club, because we're going to go back to, you know, what we did going up 10 years ago. So any more comments, guys? Let's get them in before we end the show. Got another few more minutes. But yeah, like I said, Ruud van Nistelrooy sacked. I don't think it's much of a surprise to anyone, really. Maybe a bit of a surprise that it took this long, but not too much of a surprise. Shame Ruud gone. He had dealt a bad hand by the club when he got told he had money to spend. Yeah, I mean, there's always ways to look at it. Stephen here saying that. Yeah, I mean, he's not the only manager, is he? I think Rodgers had the same issue. You know, he was told that he could spend money, could bring in his players, and it didn't happen. It sounds like Ruud was told the same thing generally. Yeah, you're going to have money to bring in some players that you want to do. And I think we've kind of fallen as a club into that scenario where we don't want to give managers much say as to who can come in and how much they want to spend. And, you know, because it's happened all the time. And look at Daka. He's probably our main striker next year, and he's rubbish. He's on 80 grand a week. He's not very good. He's not good in the Championship. He was definitely not good in the Premier League. So I think they're kind of like, well, we're missing the mark, because we're spending a lot of money on players and wages, and we're not getting anything in return. These players like Daka, who we spent 25 million on, he's going to go for free. Nobody's going to sign him, and he'll be gone for free at the end of this year. We did it with Tielemans, did it with Soyuncu, a handful of other players that we've done it for. There's a few we've done it for this year. it's bad business by the club. But again, it's a self-running machine at the moment that is not running very well. But it's not going to change for the next season. Then obviously the big looming threat of a potential point deduction thrown over our heads, which is not what we want to hear. But I'll take it when it comes. The first step to the next season is officially started with Ruud being sacked, and hopefully we can replace him with the right kind of manager. And for me, that would be Dyche. That's just my opinion. But like I say, get your comments in if you want to say your piece. Peter saying not Wilder. Yeah, again, fair enough. Maybe not the best move for us at the moment. Who knows, really? I think the biggest one that has been floating around is Dyche. I think he's the biggest name that's been floating around, the biggest person that we think we can get in. I know some people aren't going to be necessarily happy with that, but you're not going to please 100% of the audience of people that when you pick a manager. Cooper did it, a lot of fans were not happy with him. And then we brought in Ruud, and then I think majority of fans were not happy with him. It's just how it goes. But I think we need to do some back to basics on that. So let's see. I get the last few comments on before we go. Jamie at the Fox's Arm. Remember, go to his pub, the Fox's Arm, if you're out in Alcudia this summer. He's saying, "Thank God he has gone." Yeah, I think I agree with you. I was kind of getting to the point where if not now, when? And I could have seen him staying for next year. Dyche was at a training ground yesterday, or Dyche, the new manager, apparently. He's corrected himself there. I think it might be Dyche. I think he's fairly local to the area, if I'm not mistaken. I know people spot him around like Meridian and Foss Park. So he's fairly local to Leicestershire and East Midlands area. So him coming in, and I think it's probably the smartest move from the club, personally. You never know, really. You have to give managers a bit of time, like we did with Cooper. Keith saying, can't really understand why some people want Dyche in. I guess you look at the flip side though, Keith. Who would you bring in if not Dyche? Because we've spun the dice a few times in the past couple of seasons. Cooper was stability, and again we sacked him after 10 games unfairly. We sacked him because I think he was doing okay. And then we spun the dice on someone like Ruud, and it was absolutely a shower of shit, is what it was. It was bad. Ruud was not all good for us, and it showed. So I guess Dyche is just a bit more of stability. So I don't really know what else to say. I mean, if you want to say who else before I end the show, who you think would be better than Dyche, then go for it. But for me, I think Dyche is probably stability, a bit like Cooper was. But I can agree with why I picked Dyche if we're trying to do possession-based football, why we maybe doing 180s on managers, because Cooper was a 180 on Enzo, and then we did another 180 back to Ruud. So it's a bit like, well, are we standing our ground, or are we just going to go back to basics? And for me, I'd go back to basics with Dyche. And Bazza saying Rudkin to become manager so he can sack him. Yeah, I mean, that's obviously not going to happen, but like I said, self-running. I don't know. I don't think it will happen. If there's any more comments, let me know. We've got 1 more minute left. I'll end at the 20-minute mark. But yeah, there you go. Like I said, Ruud has been confirmed sacked by the club. And I'm just checking. There's still nothing, obviously, about a new manager coming yet. As I didn't think there would be yet. So that is what it is. There you go. Ruud has officially been sacked by the club. Last comment of the day, Peter, is Ruud Van Nistelrooy taking Daka with him? No. No one's going to want Daka, mate, unfortunately. 80 grand a week, it's just, no one's going to want him. 80 grand a week. We'd probably want like 5 million for him as well, and everyone go, jog on, I'll have him for free. But I don't even know who would want to pay his wages, to be honest with you. It'd be him and someone else, probably IU as our strikers next year, let's imagine. But thank you very much for watching, guys. There you go. Ruud has been sacked. That is it. That is the show. I mean, hopefully we'll be live again in the next few days with a new manager, and hopefully it doesn't take too long this time. So fingers crossed we'll bring someone in soon and we can get ready for the next season. Cheers.